Hello. Today we have a lesson about tourism. Tourism, what's tourism? Tourism is going to another country to visit, like going to London to look at Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, and the London bus. Tourism, going on tour. It's a little bit hard to think about right now because of coronavirus. Nobody's flying anywhere. But it's an interesting question. Is tourism a good thing or a bad thing? What are the good points and the bad points of tourism? Good points, maybe spreading understanding of different culture. If you go to Japan, people come to Japan, they can understand about Japanese way of life. And if you go to America, you can understand about American way of life. So understanding, that's good. Number two, it's fun. It's fun going to new places. Number three, eating food is great. That's fun and very enjoyable. Also, it's good for the economy. Economy, keizai, going and spending money, taking money from rich countries and going to poorer countries, like if you go to, I don't know, Thailand or Cambodia and spend money, it helps the economy. So those are some good points about tourism. Bad points, well, with coronavirus, it's maybe risky, dangerous to travel, or it's bad for the environment. All of those aeroplanes flying and burning gasoline, burning airplane fuel, is very bad for the environment. It causes global warming, carbon dioxide increasing. So that's bad. Also, maybe bad for public transport. Many people are traveling. And if you ever go to, for example, if you go to Kyoto, it's always full of people, or it used to be. So maybe that's bad. I don't know. Okay, those are just some ideas. They're my ideas, but you have ideas too about tourism. I want you to go to your book, number 16. And this is about tourism. And you see here, it's making a speech, and the sample speech is, I'm going to talk about how tourism is bad for Japan. There are 3 reasons. First, second, and the main reason, the number 1 reason. And then an opposite point, and then a conclusion. It's all here. I'm not going to read it out to you. You can have a look here. Here's a sample one about, is tourism bad for Japan? What do you think? I think you have to argue either tourism is bad for Japan or tourism is good for Japan. Which one do you think? And then make your argument along here, okay? So answer the questions here. Bzz, and good luck. And you can tell me what you think. Second point, what do you think about coronavirus? Will that change things? Or will we get back to how it used to be? I don't know. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. So, work on your speech. Okay? See you. So I read this story just today, in fact, the Albert Einstein story about Albert Einstein. You know, of course, he's a famous scientist, perhaps the most famous scientist in the world recently. And after reading this book, I learned some interesting facts about Einstein. Number 1, he was born in Germany in 1879. I don't know if that's interesting, but he got into arguments with his teachers. He was good at maths, but he didn't like talking much. He liked to think about mathematics and stuff. So they thought he was a bit of a strange child, and he used to get into arguments with his teachers. He used to fight with his teachers because he didn't respect them. He didn't like them, especially in Germany in those days, a long time ago. The teachers demanded, you must listen to me and respect me. And he said, well, I don't want to. Maybe because he was so smart, knew more than the teachers. Anyway, so he left Germany and he stayed in Zurich in Switzerland for a long time. Then he got, but in 1905, he was working in like a salaryman, just an ordinary job, not a university. And he had a lot of spare time to think, and he wrote 4 papers, they're called, where you write research, in 1905, 4 papers that changed the way we think about science. Some of the things he discovered just thinking himself. and imagining things, he worked out that the world is full of atoms, small bits. You have a nucleus and an electron going around and stuff like that. He worked out about atoms and particles and about light and how light works, and also about gravity. Gravity, when you drop something. He worked out that gravity is in fields, and gravity can change the light. Light can be pulled by gravity. It's strange ideas, but he came up with his idea. Oh, also his famous E equals mc squared, which means energy and matter, energy and things are all basically the same thing, or can be the same thing. This is a crazy idea that now we all accept, or scientists accept. But he came up with the idea in 1905 on his own. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. Another interesting thing about him, he worked in Berlin in the First World War, but he didn't like the way science was used in war, and they made gas, poison gas, to kill people, and he hated that. He didn't like to be part of that. So then when the Nazis came into power, he moved to America to get away from the Nazis. He was Jewish, and the Nazis hated Jews. So he moved to America. He was a pacifist, means he hated war, but in the Second World War, he wrote a letter to Roosevelt, the President of America then, and said, please make an atom bomb, because if you don't, the Nazis will make it, and then the Nazis will start killing people. But in the end, the Germans were defeated by the Americans, British, and Russians, and they never used an atomic bomb. But of course, the Americans had an atomic bomb, and they dropped it on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which Einstein says was a terrible mistake, and he wishes he wishes now he'd never written that letter to Roosevelt. These are all interesting facts. I learnt it from this book. He died in 1955, by the way. He also had crazy hair and liked to stick his tongue out. So I'm a very unusual guy. Right, I got 3 questions. Number 1, what country was he born in? Number 2, what year did he make his great discoveries? And number 3, who did he write to in the Second World War? Who did he write to? He wrote a letter. Who did he write to? Famous person. Okay, good luck.